أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, عظم الله لكم الأجر. These are the days that have brought grief and sorrow to the hearts of the Shia, to the followers of Ahlul Bayt. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your grief and sorrow. These are the days of Muharram, and this is your show, Muharram Question and Answers, Muharram Q&A, broadcasting from Wilayah TV. Before we start, brothers and sisters, I would like to announce that you may send your questions to the numbers below and to the address below on WhatsApp and Twitter. Now, with me today, brothers and sisters, for this sorrow occasion, is my brother Sheikh Mohammad. Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for coming, my brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having me. Thank God to give us this opportunity to come here and talk about the important questions and matters that they surround the Muharram and the movement of Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi. Thank you very much, and I send my grief and the sorrow that this month has for me and for all of the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam to our audience, and thank you for watching us.
Thank you very much, Sheikhna, for coming. Now, Sheikhna, I want to start off with the first question that we have, and pretty much it's where it all started.
Yes.
How it happened. Why? How did Imam Hussain alayhi salam reach Karbala? Why did he leave the city of Medina and go to Karbala?
Yes. Well, to fully understand the reason and the philosophy behind the movement of Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi, it's really needed to tap into the words of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, especially the sermons and the speeches and the words of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, because nobody better than the person that we are talking about can tell us the reason for his movement. Well, about this matter, I have heard and I have seen, I have studied, probably you have heard many people talking, or many things written about the reason behind the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, behind the thing that why Imam Hussain alayhi salam did this. What was the most important factor and criteria in the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam? Why did he battle Yazid and the army of Yazid in Karbala? Well, unfortunately, many of the things that are said in this matter and in this discussion are one-sided. You know, they are not completely talking about the different aspects.
What do you mean one-sided?
Means the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam has different reasons.
Oh, so it's
right?
like a bunch of reasons?
A bunch of reasons, which all of them form the majority, the unity of the reasons, the most important.
That one big reason, right?
Yes, that Imam Hussain alayhi salam has. So if we just make one aspect important, talk about that a lot, so the other aspects are ignored, this is not a good way of talking about the philosophy behind the movement of Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi. So to begin here, I will talk about different words and different speeches of Imam Hussain alayhi salam himself. That he talked about the reason why did he do that, and about the different aspects and elements here. Also, the other Ahlul Bayt, for example, Imam Sadiq salawatullah alayhi, has talked about the reason of Imam Hussain alayhi salam.
Now, you're going into how to study the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. You're going into the sayings. Are there different ways of studying the movement of Imam Hussain? For example, for those who are, for example, non-Shia,
yes,
who don't take the traditions of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam as proof or as evidence.
Well, for them, first, I think the first step is just studying the history.
History books.
Yes. So you go to the history, it's not just the words of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So historians of Shia and Sunni, they have talked about the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and they have brought the speeches of the person that we are talking about, right? For example, if you're going to talk about a war that happened.
It's a historical event.
Yes, it's a historical event. So if you want to study that, you should tap into the history and try to study that. And most of the things that we are talking about here is the history. And some of them the speeches of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, because the history is something that is acceptable for the majority of the audience that we have. So we're going to start with that. So to begin, Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi, because he didn't want to accept the rulership of Yazid la'natullah alayhi, So he moved from Medina to Mecca, right?
So the reason that he moved from Medina to Mecca was that he didn't accept the leadership
Yes,
and the Khalifa.
Yeah.
And he didn't pledge allegiance to Yazid.
Yes.
But what's wrong with not pledging allegiance? Why did he have to leave the Medina?
Well, in comparison to what his brother Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi did, well, Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi was in a position that he had to start a compromise with Muawiyah, right? The situation looked kind of the same, but it was different about Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi. Why do we talk about this? Because we should know the difference between the different responsibilities of imams.
Every imam has his own special responsibility.
Yes. So Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi didn't pledge allegiance to the Muawiyah, but that was not in a form of starting the battle. It was in a form of making a compromise. I do not accept your rulership, but we're going to live this way. There are a couple of conditions in this compromise. So he couldn't live in
Medina that way with compromising with Yazid, for example?
Yes, he did live in Medina with a compromise. Now, why was the compromise started in the first place? For instance, Imam Sallallahu Alaihi said that the compromise that Imam Hassan Alayhi Salam made was أنفع للإسلام مما طلعت عليه الشمس. It was better for
more
Islam.
Beneficial for the Shia more than the sun rising.
Yes, more than everything that the sun has shined upon, right? And also Imam Hussain salawatullah alayhi himself has said that if I had companions, if I had people who helped me to rise and battle, I would have done it, but I do not have them.
Before we move on to the break, I just want to point out to this, that how about the claim that Imam Hussain alayhi salam left Medina because he was going to get assassinated, he was going to get killed, especially with the messages that the governor of Medina at the time received from Yazid, that send me the rest of the people's allegiance again, and send it with me with the head of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And many historians state that. So can we claim at the end of the day, not only was it for him to rise, or also Imam Hussain wasn't even thinking about rising?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the thing. So because it's going to cause two things. It's either the movement was either because of revolt or either because of fear of getting assassinated.
Yes, that is true. Very well said. As I said, there are a couple of reasons that formed this movement. So one reason was not to accept. The other reason, as you said, was because of the fear of death.
Assassination, fear for his family.
Yes. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam, in the first place, as he himself declares, and we will get into it, says that I have not moved to take the rulership. I do not want that. I have other reasons for my movement. The more important things here to attend to.
Yeah. So, Sheikh, now I'm going to have to cut you right off there, and we have to take a break. Brothers and sisters, please stay tuned for our special debate or special question and answer about Muharram and the movement of Imam Hussain precisely. Please stay tuned, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much.
This is Karbala. In every corner you look, you'll see people whispering, crying, and releasing their pain into the embrace of their master's love. The master of this abode knows their pain and its solution. A single glance to his shrine can calm the hearts down. And then there are those who are seeking help from Imam Hussein's loyal companions, knowing that there is a great distance between us to them. But that doesn't mean these unparalleled men were born perfect from angels. So how can a person aspire into the high skies of humanity and have their lives accepted by Allah as sacrifice? How can they gain the high reputation of becoming the companions to Allah's greatest creation? Perhaps it was from the moment that you put yourself in God's hands and let Him guide you and determine all your decisions. Then you will not doubt what's wrong and what's right, and you won't be able to even think about abandoning your Imam. Once you stand aside and let God take control, you will see that He will let you profit from your life. just like those who traded this world for the chance to spend eternity with God's noble servants. I am a trade where they will accept your life for 1,000 times if it's worth. Imam Hussein's companion was right to one give his life for him 1,000 times over. And we too are right to look upon their graves and wish to have been with them and thus reached salvation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for tuning back in to Muharram Q&A, broadcasting from Wilayah TV. And brothers and sisters, we left you off with the question about the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So we started off with the movement because he was living in Medina alayhi salam. Then he moved from Medina to Mecca. We talked about the reasons in summary. It was either because of the fear of assassination, or because he wanted to start a revolt, or it could be both of them, right? At the end of the day, the historians, each one has their own path and method or theory of the movement of Imam Hussain, and these are the things that are available out there.
Yes.
And now, after Medina, where did Imam Hussain go and how did he go? That's I think that's an important question. That's an important aspect to the question, because I've read some history books, or at least I've heard some, at least I'm pretty sure I've heard of it, that he moved very quickly to Mecca. It wasn't a slow movement, right? It was like 10 stops and he finished it in 1 week. So it was like 10 days, but he finished it
in a week.
In a week.
Yes.
So that might shout out to the first theory, that it was out of fear of assassination, defending himself, defending his family.
Absolutely, that can be true. Well, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, before going to the Mecca, wrote a letter and gave that letter to his brother Mohammad ibn Hanafi.
In Mecca. Where was his brother?
In Medina.
In Medina.
Yes. So Imam Hussain salawatullah wrote a letter and talking about his movement, because Muhammad ibn Hanafi was his brother and a trustworthy person. And from these kind of words of Imam Hussain salawatullah, we can understand the aspects of this movement. For instance, Imam alayhi salam says, "Inni lam akhruj asharan wala bataran wala mufsidan wala zalima." I did not move, I did not quit the Medina because I wanted to do something wrong, because I wanted to do unjust to other people. No, I did not do any of these. وإنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جد محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وأريد أن آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر وأسير بسيرة جد محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وأبي علي بن أبي طالب. So Imam Hussain salawatullah talks about the real reasons why he has done this. The first part of this speech, which says إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا, it tells us and it actually defines and very clearly talks about the other theories and about the wrong reasons probably spread about the movement of Imam Hussain.
That was a worldly matter, right?
Yes. For example, the more worldly matter. Why Imam Hussain alayhi salam moved? Because he knew that he or his family would die, would be martyred in Karbala. Why did he move in the first place? Isn't this a bad thing to do? For example, if you know that you and your family, if you go, for example, traveling somewhere, between the way there's a dangerous place, for example, dangerous occasion, and it will be bad for you, for example, something bad happens, or your life will be endangered, right? If you know this, you won't do it.
Right.
So these kind of words which are spread, these are kind of theories or wrong reasons which are widespread among the people who have not studied the movement of Imam Hussain, or they have not heard the real reasons. This first part of the speech talks about them. So if I, for example, إني لم أخرج ظالما, means, for example, if I put myself and put my family in a dangerous situation because of no real reason, it means that I'm doing something unjust, right?
I'm oppressing them.
Yes, I'm oppressing them. So Imam alayhi salam says, it's not because of this. إنما خرجت, I moved out of the city only and only because I wanted to right the wrongs in the people of the Prophet, in the Ummatul,
the nation of the Prophet.
yes, the nation of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Now, the important thing here is, what is the wrong thing that here is so important, so prominent, that makes Imam Hussain alayhi salam move from his city and do all of these enormously prominent and dangerous things in the first sight? You see, Imam Hussain alayhi salam with all of his family, a number of friends and also companions, all of them move with each other to a place with the same aim and target. What is that important thing that has this much of influence? The first important question about this is that. So what is the answer? طلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي. What was the wrong thing which was so wrong made Imam Hussain alayhi salam
exit from the Medina, right? And
yes,
and go to Mecca, for example.
Go to Mecca. Mecca was the first destination. It was not the last destination of Imam alayhi salam. I think here the Islah, as also we talk about it later in the words of Imam Sadiq salawatullah alayhi. What was that Islah? It was the fact that Imamat, which is one of the most important pillars of theology of Shia, theology of
Islam
Muslims,
as well.
in Islam. Yeah. Yes, it is the one of the fifth pillars of Islam, as Imam Baqir salawatullah alayhi says, and the most important one. Imamat was something that became forgotten after the martyrdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi. Amir al-Mu'minin sallallahu alayhi tried a lot to rejuvenate it, to make it alive again. After that, Imam Hussain sallallahu alayhi. But because of those people who usurped the succession of Imam Amir al-Mu'minin sallallahu alayhi, and they did a lot of things led to this, right? And up to the extent that Imam alayhi salam says, after the martyrdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi, ارتد الناس إلا ثلاث,
or four, in some sense.
yes, or أربعة or سبعة. It means all of the people, they quit the religion, they became
non-followers of
yes,
Islam. They gave
non-followers of Islam. Why? After also the severe efforts of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi. Why this happened? Because of this pillar of Imamah, succession of Rasulullah, that was forgotten.
So, Sheikh, I'm going to have to stop you right there. And so we reached that result,
yes,
that the main thing was Islah, Ummat Jaddi Rasulullah, fixing the nation of the Prophet. How? By bringing back this idea and concept of Imamat. And following the Imam alayhi salam. Brothers and sisters, unfortunately, our time has finished on Muharram Q&A, broadcasting from Wilayah TV. Brothers and sisters, any question you guys have, you can go ahead and send it to our Twitter account or by WhatsApp. For now, until another show, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your grief and sorrow. عظم الله لكم الأجر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.